being used. Everybody wants a piece now. Y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're just freaked out. Get ready for defeat now. I'm gonna make you bleed out. Listen on repeat now and weed out all the weakness.
Good morning. Oh, wait, we got no one here yet. That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to share. Oh, hey guys, give me a second doing the share thing. I kind of suck at remembering doing that. It'd be nice if you guys could help me out. And I only do it in reboot because I'm pretty sure I've been kicked out of everywhere else. You know how it goes. Ooh, interwebs is running slow. Just post the damn thing. All right. How we doing, everyone? Good morning, everyone. Oh, tell you what, it is nice being out here in Florida. I mean, let me see the temperature. Don't care about email. 62 degrees, ladies and gentlemen. It's just cold enough for me to think about putting on a long sleeve. For all y'all still up in the frozen north, I feel sorry for you. But it's been a little bit. I planned on starting my vacation today, but I also didn't do a show last week. So we're doing last week's shows today, and today I'm on vacation. Or last week I'm on vacation. You get what I'm saying. I'm here. Wait for a few more people to hop on. See how everyone's feeling. Simple Sammy, Cicero, and Avis. How's everyone doing today? One second. Gotta close the door because it's time to run around. No, sweet pea. Stay there. Good girl. Either that or my upload-download speed is absolutely terrible today. Anywho. So, we've got lame duck session in Michigan. All right. So we'll get a quick definition of that from the Google machine. Lame duck. Okay. Just editing. What are you editing? Hey, I'm starting to get icons back. Cool. So a lame duck session of Congress is when one Congress or legislature meets after its successor is elected, but before its successor's term begins. Game video, yo, I need to get a hold of you. Because if you can edit game videos, I'm hoping you can do some editing for me coming into the new year. Don't worry, it'd be simple stuff. Anywho, so we've got some weird laws coming out of Michigan lately. One of the reasons I'm so glad I moved. If you peer over my left, your right shoulder, you're going to see a little pink thing right there. And one of the new laws that has been proposed and is being spoken about during these lame duck sessions, probably going to get passed, is outlawing firearms that are not tan, black, green. I'm sitting here just like, that don't affect me much, really. even if I were still up there, because grandfather clauses and all that. However, all the FUDs are like, you don't need that AR-15 go hunt deer. Just go get yourself a shotgun. They're usually the ones that run around with like green camouflage shotguns. And their shit just got banned. Oh man, it's big happy day. But let's see what else is being passed. Michigan recent bills passed. And the reason lame duck sessions are so important, or so as they are, is because a lot of these folks ain't going to have their seat. They're just pushing on a problem to the next group of people, or a whole bunch of wish list. And it's kind of funny. Recently passed Senate bills. Here we go. Senator Jeremy Moss. Anything here that's actually... Oh. Here's one that's interesting. Provides the service for process of extreme risk protection order actions and waives court fees. In other words, red flag law, and the cops don't have to pay court fees to take your firearm if your crazy ex says you don't deserve one. That is House Bill 4147. House Bill 4148 enacts guidelines for making false statement in support of an extreme risk protection order. Okay, cool. You lie and you screw someone over, there's guidelines now. Modifies membership of Michigan don't care. Repeals prohibition on lewd or lascivious cohabitation. What? I want to... What? What is this to? What is lewd and lascivious cohabitation? I need to read this law with you guys. So this is repealing Michigan Codified Law Act 328 of 1931, an act to revise, consolidate, codify, and add to statuses relating to crimes, define crimes, penalties, under uncertain circumstances. Okay, but what does it actually mean? Hey, Mama Quill. How you doing? Apparently you couldn't cohabitate if you were sleeping together. And they could have slapped some nice fun fines and penalties on you for that. All right. So Senate Bill 56 repealed that. Senate Bill 59 modifies the definition of peace officer in the mental health code. Senate Bill 161. God, how many of these did they pass? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Because they've just, well, at least the House has gone on recess. They will not be convening until after the new year. Usually, this is the last time many of them are going to be taking their seats. So they are pushing through as many of these bills as absolutely possible to try and get a few of their wish list items in. Oh, hey, here's a good one for everyone in Michigan. Senate Bill 144 increases earned income tax credit. So be thankful about that one, guys. But yeah, someone asked about that. I'm not really tracking too many of these bills. They aren't really pushing anything on me. I mean, well, here's one that actually matters to Flint. Senate Bill 89 provides for clean drinking water in schools and child care centers. Shouldn't this have been a thing that's been there already? I'm sorry. Flint's water is jacked. What does this exactly do? Does it provide funding? Okay. Water supply, quality and standards, clean drinking water in schools and child care centers. Creates a new act. Okay, well, that's awesome, but what exactly? Introduced by John Cherry. But is there any penalties for it? Is the question. Let me see this in PDF. Brief fiscal impact. Indeterminate negative fiscal impact on the state and local government. Previous legislation 88 and 89 are similar to substitute versions of the bill 185. Content. This really doesn't say too much. Water sampling and testing. Oh, Clack, I know that you're not going to be doing any more school board meetings. The school year has ended, buddy, but you might want to get a hold of your friends or your former colleagues and tell them to be ready for this water sampling and testing in public schools and child care facilities. Because we all know for a fact that those pipes haven't been changed in places like DTM. Period. End of story. So you're probably going to be getting hit with some more significant fines than already have been. Well, you aren't, Clack. I mean, to be honest, I'm glad you're off that goddamn board. It really hurt me seeing the stupidity that was going on, seeing your vote not matter against the rest of their votes. And for a time when you were president of the school board, things were going good until after. I appreciate the work that you did there, and you did a hell of a job, but you're just one man fighting the corruption of decades. So I'm glad that you are out of that. Yo, how you doing? And Christy Coleman, good morning. Good morning, Christy. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of bills on here that actually caught my attention. Certain requirements concerning teacher certification. Oh boy. Like Flint's not already screwed with teachers. Provides for tabulating absent voter ballots received up to 6 days after an election from an absent uniformed services voter or overseas voter. And it removes the rule promulgation requirement for electronically returning certain. Okay. Yep. So no real interest in any of these bills. So let's talk about something else then. Let's take a look at New Jersey drums, because I've actually been looking at a lot of this lately. This is where a lot of my attention's been flying off to. And if you have tinfoil, please make yourself a hat, because we're going to go into some weird places right now. As you guys know, weapons happen to be one of my hobbies. I keep a lot of them. Hell, I'm getting a forge to make knives. But that isn't just man-portable weapons. I also, have an interest in tanks, drones, a lot of combat footage coming out of Ukraine, Syria, things like that I've been watching and trying to keep up with. And I've been listening to a lot of these programs for future weapons in the United States. So give me a second. Man. And to be honest with you, what is coming to mind with all these drones? Because that was asked on the bump. I was asked if, what I know about this. If you watch a time lapse, and let me see if I can find a time lapse of this. All right. Nope, that's not where I want to go. Fortham Park. How long is this video? We can take a minute. We can take a minute and spend some time watching something together. Here we go. Cool. Okay. And we're going to make that slightly bigger for everyone because some people don't have great eyes. Let's see this.
Hate seeing ads? It's almost 2025. You don't have to anymore. The internet is almost unusable with how many ads you have to scroll through. Until now. Meet Pi, a free Chrome extension that blocks ads for good. Pi blocks ads on YouTube, Twitch.
Okay. So, there's one, another, and it looks like they're coming at right angles as such. Okay, so that looks like they're making a grid. Interesting. And anything else interesting in this? There's another one. There goes one that came through right there. Some idiot can't park. Cool. And then I saw my face there, which I'm sorry about that, guys. That's ugly. Okay. We can go ahead and stop screen. And then, so there's a couple theories. The first one, the most plausible to me, with all these quote drones flying around. And you're going to have to follow me on a little trip here. First off, lack of response. And we've seen things like this before. Well, if you're old enough and if you remember things, you have. In the 80s, there were unexplained lights over New Mexico and Nevada, parts of Arizona and Colorado. And all the government agencies didn't do anything about it. They just ignored it. It turned out that was the F-117 Nighthawk. For those of you who do not know what a F-117 is, you might recognize it as the quote stealth fighter, even though it's not a fighter. I hate that they gave it the fighter designation. This thing does not take down other aircraft. This thing right here. And God, I remember Tails. That thing sucks at flying. Anyway. And then I think it was the late 90s, more lights, more people complaining, and a big lack of government, saying or doing anything. That turned out to be the Predator and Global Hawk drones. Now we see drones over New Jersey and certain other places. I think there's been some in Texas and some, I think, in southern Florida, as well as New York. Just that general down and through. What it seems like to me is something that the Air Force is working on. And this is what I think it would be. Let's get rid of my little thing there. Wait, there we go. 6th generation fighter jets are expected to collaborate with unmanned combat aerial vehicles, UCAVs, through the concept known as man-unmanned teaming or loyal wingman. The Air Force's Collaborative Combat Aircraft, CCA, program is the U.S. government's equivalent of this concept. So yes, the Navy and the Air Force have two different 6th generation fighters. To put that into context, the F-22, F-35 are 5th generation, so very low radar cross section. This is stuff that I really just take a look at and I dive into. So the idea being that something about the size of an SUV teams and flies with fighter aircraft, which it has been rumored that Japan's J-20 has been trying to do this. Or not Japan's, China's J-20, and the F-35 as well. So looking at that grid pattern, it looks like they're taking drones and trying to get them to learn. This is residential area. This is economic. This is industrial. So after that, we're going to, I'm thinking, start seeing these things. Because the only other two options that come to mind for me, and we all know that I tend to get a little bit on the, no, come on, border, there we go. I go out into the weeds on conspiracies. The only other things that can come to mind, if it isn't for U.S. military aircraft learning how to work with these drones, or these drones to work with pilots, especially seeing as they are low radar cross section, is either foreign assets or aliens. I mean, hell, the U.S. government's come out several times and said there's aliens, so who knows on that one. But the other thing that hit when I was doing research into this was there's some ham radio operators, and they're all, what's my time frame? All right, I'm 21 minutes in. Cool, I can cuss now. They're all fucking nuts. They really are. So not only do they operate old school shortwave ham radios, which can literally communicate across the country, just you have to have a license for it. They also operate other radio transceiver equipment that measures airwaves and things like that. What they found is your typical commercial drone will work on a band of, I think, 9.5 gigahertz. Let me see. We got Google. Commercial drone RF band. Yeah, they work between 2 and 4, or 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz. What these guys were seeing were up in the teens. Now, usually in the teens is satellite communication. So, who knows? Maybe they're seeing if they can do low altitude flying with drones. I mean, hell, Ukraine's been using small drones to great effect for quite a while. Just ask Russia, or their tanks, or BMPs, or troops. Literally anything worth a price tag more than $1, they'll blow up with a drone. It's kind of funny to me. So that's where my mind is at. I've been asked to talk about that. And then I've been asked to talk about the potential government shutdown because of the budget. And why? First, let's address the impact of such a thing. The U.S. government shutting down. I've been through this a few times. Hell, we all have. It seems like it happens once a year now. First time it happened to me, oh God, I think it is 2011 or 2012. Just gotten back from Afghanistan like a year earlier, and my paycheck didn't come in. So the first thing that happens with these sorts of shutdowns is they cut military pay, they cut Social Security benefits. So if you're living on SSI right now, ladies and gentlemen, if it does shut down tonight at 11:59:59, you probably won't be getting a check until they resolve it. It also affects things like your mail dudes, IRS, which no one cares about, other federal employees. One crucial thing is it does not affect VA benefits mainly because they're afraid of, dudes that they've been training and sending to war for 20 years, still kind of jacked up in the head and then missing a mortgage payment. I can't say I blame them. And then your Congress people. So your elected representatives at the federal level will not see a cut in their pay neither. So it's really a bad thing for you as a regular Joe. Not such a bad thing for them. Because let's face it, we just got through an election. No one's going to remember this in 2 or 4 years. No one's going to go, oh yeah, well, December 2024, you guys couldn't come to an agreement and the government shut down and I missed 2 months of well, you may, but no one's going to talk about it in the news. So they don't really care. It's just time to mudsling at each other. As for why, well, there was a negotiated budget on the table. And it was supposedly bipartisan, but as I've explained before, bipartisanism just means one person from the other side sits down and helps you write it up. Incoming President Trump said he doesn't like it and to vote it down. And a lot of the people that follow him or are loyal to him or kind of the new guard, because the old guard Republicans are dying out, they decided to vote no. Didn't like it because there's a lot of give-me's in there that Democrats want. Let's be honest, this is all political back and forth. And so subsidize this or extra payment here, extra payment there. And kickbacks. The Republicans want the kickbacks to go to people, or the money, the budget to go to people that they like, programs that they like, so they can receive kickbacks. As Ms. Gladys always says, uniparty. Kind of. They all think along the same lines. It's about give me, give me, give me. There was a plan B put forward, and I'm not a huge fan of this plan B that they put up because it extends the debt limit for 2 years. So it doesn't have to come up in 2026. Increasing the debt limit at this stage in our economy is probably one of the dumbest things you could do. If you've maxed out your credit card at $2,000 and you've yet to make, a dent in your payments, are you going to try to go out and make it $2,500? No. I mean, then you have some common sense. I love you guys to death. This is why I like you. 810, chat, 810 fans, 810, whatever you guys like to call yourselves. Yes, Gladys, Uniparty, the party of money. But you guys typically have more common sense and money sense than the people running this country. That's why I love y'all. We all tend to agree on how money should be spent when it comes to Flint, when it comes to other local municipalities, wherever you may live, statewide, federal. Because when we take a look at it, this country's kind of screwed at the moment. And I'm not talking politically. I'm talking economically. I'm talking about things that we really need to care about. Our roads, absolute trash. Okay. Federal the big highways, the interstates are supposed to be taken care of by the federal. There's some potholes in there that could easily swallow Ms. Gladys. Love you, Ms. Gladys, but I'm using you as an example. Most people know how tall you are because you've been on camera. Love you. Some potholes on that thing could swallow Ms. Gladys. Okay. Our water infrastructure, screwed. Flint is a perfect example of that, but it's just got the spotlight. Let's be 100% here. Other cities around the country have the same water problems as Flint, if not worse. Flint's just had it for a hell of a lot longer. I mean, East Palestine. A town just down, I'd say about, which way is south from me? South, that way. Yeah, going southeast from me, about 150 miles, there's a paper mill. Hey, how you doing, big brother? There's a paper mill there, and it's dumping a lot of chemicals into the river where they get their water from, and their water treatment facility can't keep up with it. Actually, it's Gainesville. Uh, I think we need to be putting federal dollars into that, into our roads, um, back into our railroad industry. A lot of our railroads and our locomotives, our railroads are in pretty poor condition. I can go down the street and hell, when Kevin helped me move in, we went to railroad down what about 2 miles from me, Kevin, maybe less, and picked up railroad spikes for me to work into knives, just strewn all over the railroad. Our locomotives are from the 80s. They're diesel electric. When you take a look at other parts in the world, and they're using mag rails where the blessed train hovers above the tracks and can take the same load that ours can at 3 times the speed. Watch out, Miss Gladys. If you aren't careful with them trash cans being open, them lids being open, you're going to catch like a raccoon or a possum and get bitten, get rabies. So yeah, make sure they close those. Anyway, so we need to be investing in that. We need to be investing in our roads. How about airlines? Boeing has been falling out of the sky. Our airports look horrendous. How about our energy infrastructure? Sorry about that. Internet went down. Country living, all that. Haha. Anywho, where was I? Yeah, energy infrastructure. Did you know that our energy grid is so exposed that U.S. government, including FBI, NSA, and Department of Defense, refuse to cover it because there's so many gaps? Don't you think that needs to be brought up a little bit? You got me, Mark. You got me. Yeah, that's been an open secret. Well, it's not even a secret. It's been open and known since too much talking. Open and known since what? I want to say 2001, right when 9/11 happened. Actually, a lot of people were starting to look at the energy grid to see if we were going to lose power in a coordinated attack. Here's a fun thing. When the grid, we were separated into like 4 or 5 different grids. So I'm hooked up to New York. No. I'm hooked up to North Carolina. So from New York to Virginia, if they lose power, they lose it in that entire like quad. Then if we lose power, it's from Florida to North Carolina, all the way over to Louisiana. Texas is on its own grid, thank God, because they can't handle ice. Who knew? A mostly desert state can't handle ice. Go figure. And then I think California runs all the way up to Washington and has Arizona and New Mexico on its grid. And then Michigan's on like the Midwest grid. Wait, what? Oh, Gladys. I honestly don't believe so. Like, I believe Trump was the better pick of the two. Personally, you guys know my my politics there, but I can't expect him to really look at this. Honestly, that really falls on the Department of Energy. And who did he appoint to Department of Energy? Let me see. Trump, D-O-R-D-E part. Yeah, Trump Department of Energy pick. Let's see. Is it anyone I know? Chris Wright. Investor in renewable energy and CEO of fracking giant Liberty Energy. Okay. We'll see. I just don't see that happening because you'd have to rework the entire grid from scratch. We were one of the first countries on the planet to hook up every house just about to electricity. And we built it so fast because it's the new craze to get everywhere all at once. And we weren't really thinking about, infrastructure attacks at that time. It was the early 1900s. It went into like the 1920s. Hell, some places like in Kentucky or West Virginia weren't hooked up to the grid until the 1960s. But that wasn't ever a concern. You went from the 1920s, 19 teens, where people are still riding around on horses during combat and they weren't really shelling cities as much. And then you've got majority of the country built up into when we went into World War II. That is kind of already a thing then. After that, we stepped up into Vietnam and we were not practicing total war anymore. Well, Korea, Vietnam. And now it's become a thing all over again because during the Korea Vietnam era, well, they're just playing with swatting nukes at each other. There was no thought of non-state actors attacking infrastructure. It was Ivan's going to nuke us. That'll take out your power anyway. Now we have to come back to that sort of thinking of anything and everything's a target. I mean, your roadways are a target. Hell, our internet is a target. And I'm not just talking about turning it off. You see disinformation, misinformation attacks all the time. You go to Perun. He's a great dude. He does defense economics here on YouTube. Perun. He's great. I watch a lot of his videos. And then you go through the comments and you see trolls, well, bots, not even trolls, espousing Russian ideals and propaganda, Chinese ideals and propaganda, some Middle East actors, hell, even sometimes South American actors. Anything and everything is a target in warfare now. So with so many targets, I don't know, honestly, if Trump is going to have the time to really look at that when he's got to look at everything else. There we go. That right there. So believe it or not, we've been subsidizing Italy for the past, that would be 60, 70, coming up on 80 years, because we didn't even really bomb them all that bad. Germany, when it became part of NATO, it spent 3% for the past, well, from its inception as West Germany until the 1990s when the peace dividends paid off. Now they're spending, I think, 1.3% of their GDP on defense, and they're wholly inefficient with it. England just got back up to 2%. We've been throwing more money into our defense industrial capacity because of our allies in NATO not keeping up their part. Iceland has never contributed any part of their GDP into their nation defense. Canada has been below 2% since the early 1980s. It just kind of turned everything to us. Trust me, I've been arguing with Europeans about this for the past year and a half. And it's funny because their social spending went up and their defense spending went down, while our defense spending went up to secure them. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a socialist, guys, but if we had the money, I would really like to see, single-payer healthcare. Or at least subsidized healthcare. If you can't afford health insurance, it'd be nice if the people on the lowest bracket could be lifted up some, take a little bit off of their plate. But instead, we've had to invest in programs to keep our weaker allies safe. Think about that for a minute. While they shirked their responsibilities and went on a joy list, oh, we're going to make college free. Okay. Oh, we're going to subsidize healthcare. How many people do you know owe more than $50,000 in student debt? And because the way that's set up, it's not going to go down for quite a while. How many people do you know have horrible medical debt? And before anyone starts screaming undue medical debt, I just know I don't trust them. Sorry, if you go up in front of Flint City Council and you ask for money, I don't trust you. I don't trust a blessed thing you do. But you go to Spain and Luxembourg, you can go ahead and break your arm there and they'll take care of you pretty quick. Hell, just drive north across the border to Canada. And they have looser drug laws than we do. You can go get Tylenol codeine in Canada without a prescription. Now, I'm not telling you to do that. Please don't do that. Because our laws here say you need a prescription for that. And if you try coming back across with them, smuggling them across, you're going to spend jail time. So don't do that. Actually, Gladys, believe it or not, I'm a beneficiary of one of those. But that one was specifically targeted for veterans, especially 100% completely and disabled veterans. I had something like $5,000 of student debt, and that just got wiped out. You see, I can't agree with it though right now because we don't have the money. That's where I'm going with. Like, I like the idea of debt forgiveness for schooling if we could afford it. But we've got so much money tied up into other stuff. I mean, the way we subsidize our farmers, for one. So think about this for a second. You've got a farmer who grows, well, let's be conservative here and say 3 tons of corn a year. Now, the way subsidy is supposed to work is we expect you to sell 3 tons. If you don't, we make up the difference to keep you in business so you don't go under, so your farm don't go under, so you can continue providing food for the country. But the way that the law got written, and this is the fun part to me, is if you produce over X amount of corn that you were expected to produce, that you said you would produce, you'd be able to produce, we are going to take money away from you. Think about that. But did you know, since the 1920s, when prohibition became a thing, that the United States has been subsidizing dairy farmers, which sounds nice, except they don't pay, to make up a deficit. They just buy the leftover milk, or they used to. Well, what do you do with several million gallons of rotting milk? You turn it into cheese, and you put it into caves in Missouri, because that sounds like the smart thing to do, right? That's what government cheese was. Reagan came in and said, what the hell? Why are we... No, sell this. Then the law got rewritten. But that's where we're spending our money, guys. We've got aid packages going to God knows where. Ukraine right now just picked up another $500 million deal, which, don't get me wrong, I feel for the Ukrainian people. I've seen what they go through. I've seen several firsthand accounts. I go to flunker.com and I watch the combat footage there and the horrible things going on. But it's not my fight. And it's not your fight. Now, if you want it to be your fight, I'm not going to hold you back. Grab a plane ticket, get a hold of Ukrainian embassy. They'll put you in touch with their foreign legion. God bless this mustache. Watch. After the new year, I'm going to come back completely shaven so I don't have to deal with this. Anyway, they'll get you in touch with their foreign legion. You land in Ukraine, and they will help you get acquainted. They will put you in an English-speaking unit, and you can go fight for Ukraine. But I don't think it's our government's problem. But we've been giving military aid to people that hate us as well. Money into parts of the Middle East. Some parts love us. Thank you very much for your love and support. Other parts hate us. You can't pay for love. I know a few people, especially in my recent life, who have tried paying for love, and it didn't work out too well for them. They're no longer in my life anymore. I can't stand that sort of pathetic. And when I think of them, now I have to think of my own country trying to pay for love. Southeast Asia. So we subsidize or give humanitarian aid to North Korea, which sounds nice. But if we didn't, then they would have to stop spending money on their military, which they pour 43% of their GDP into, and start spending it on, things to feed their people. Why should it be on you and me to take care of people who aren't our neighbor? And I know you're supposed to be a good Christian and care about everyone around the world, good Christian, good Muslim, good whatever religion or culture you may be. But at the same time, how about we start caring about our neighbors first? You have to fix home before you go fix somewhere else. And North Korea, of all places, they threaten to nuke us on a bi-weekly basis. Do I think their stuff works? No, not at all. I've seen evidence of their stuff fairly often. Missiles sold to Russia with a 33% launch rate These are their rocket artillery. 33% launch rate and a 25% detonation rate with I want to say 30% hit the target rate. Yes, Gladys, Ukraine has lost most of their young men. So is Russia. Russia's going in, taking people out of prisons. But then again, so is Ukraine. Ukraine is sending the mentally deficit or learning impaired to the front lines. I mean, it'd be nice to see a peace deal happen. Hey, you lost what you lost, but in exchange to stop the fighting, you become part of NATO. And then I can stop subsidizing you. Just please. I don't want to pay for your war anymore. But if you do that, then you give Russia and Ukraine time to build up, and white peace never works. White peace never works because political or strategic objectives were never met, which means that they're going to go back at it as soon as they rearm and they have a new generation of young men to throw at each other. You can see it, well, literally throughout history. Let's see. North Korea and South Korea are still technically at war. That was through a white peace. They still occasionally launch rockets and artillery at each other. Vietnam and Laos and / Cambodia still go fight each other often. World War II was actually a continuation of World War I. Germany just needed time to rearm and refit. But so now that I've gone on a ramble for a little while and my internet's gone out once, anyone have any questions? Because I saw a lot flying around in chat today. Might as well just pick it up and swing with it. Because I tell you, my arms got tired of typing. Hey, Shorty, how you doing? Yeah, my arms got tired of typing in chat this morning. Especially when I got upset. I think I was punching my keyboard. But if no one's got any questions, because actually, Miss Gladys, you and I going on about money and the such, and I know how I feel, and I said, I already disagree with increasing the debt limit. That is on Trump's wish list for this new budget. How do you feel about that? Because honestly, I think we need to start paying down our debt before we start taking on any more. That's just a personal opinion. I think it's rather stupid to try to, tack on another $2 or $3 trillion onto our debt. Right now, our GDP is 23 trillion. Our governmental budget is about 10 trillion. All right. Actually, let's see what they're looking at. How big is the Trump budget? Let's look at budget. I ain't got nothing here. Trump-backed government, It's not telling me. Shardy, I just went through how I feel about NATO, but I can go through it again. I happen to agree with Trump in a lot of ways there. So NATO, several provisions, but number one, my biggest gripe is every signatory country is supposed to spend 2% of its gross domestic product. In other words, how much the government earns every year, 2% into military, into its national defense. And let me see this real quick. NATO Budget by percentage. Here we go. We've only got a few actual, what I would call allies, keeping up with what they have said. Number of allies meeting the 2% defense spending. And my source here is Al Jazeera. It's not Fox News. It's not some right-wing yada yada. Al Jazeera is actually one of the least biased news sources out there. I happen to personally enjoy that. So 2014, only 3 countries. Goes up to 5, back down to 4. And then Ukraine pops off, 7, 23, 10, then 23. Out of, I do believe there are 50 something countries. There are 23 here, 32. Cool. That's awesome. So, applied or expressed interest to join. This is old because Finland is now a NATO country. I think Sweden is still chilling. Yeah. Shardy, no, we would not be on our own. And here's why. So within many of the countries in NATO, we have individual mutual assistance treaties as well, such as the UK, France, World War II was a terrible time for them in their military. I don't know why, but pre-World War II, there were a bunch of hardy bastards, and I enjoyed reading about them. And then after World War II, there's still a bunch of grizzled, hardy bastards. I don't know what happened to them during World War II, where they collapsed so hard. It surrendered so easily. I know the actual military tactic of swinging through Belgium and skipping the Maginot Line. But so if we take a look at it, here is how much we spend. Just this blue line here. The United States spends in billions. 2024, $700 and change billion. While the rest of the countries and Canada, so Europe and Canada, make up maybe 430. It's tiring. Poland, spending 4.2%. Awesome. Estonia, not as much, but 3.43. Awesome. United States, 3.37. Yeah. Spending in millions of USD. Then we get down. These are all tiny countries. Poland's the only one that actually has any weight to it so far. Finland, here we go. They hold up their end. Denmark, they hold up their end. The UK just barely got up there. Romania just barely got up there. North Macedonia, no one cares about. Small country. Norway, cool. And then we get down to the fail mark. Slovakia, the Netherlands, Croatia, Portugal, Italy, Canada. Look at Canada right next to us, 1.37%. Belgium, 1.3%. Luxembourg. And look at Spain at the bottom of the barrel. Now, I can tell you for a fact, Spain only has 70,000 troops. What would we do with those 70,000 troops with zero combat experience? Personally, I'd use them as sandbags. But we have individual mutual assistance treaties with multiple of these countries. So us pulling out of NATO wouldn't really affect us as much as you think it would. There would be some hurt feelings, however, and it might impact trade. Oh, come on. Can I go back, please? There we go. By percentage, there was this other one here. That's Al Jazeera. Statistica. I love Statistica. You see, for a while there, I was... What? No. Bite me. I'm not paying that much. Reject optional cookies. I don't eat sweets. Yep, don't care about that then. I had a chart that went by. And let's do this for 1999. 1999. I like 1999. Okay, in 1999 we were spending 1.9%, but that was still 720 million for all of NATO. NATO Security Investment Program, 734 million. NATO civil budget, no one cares. And taking a look at our allied armies, I think Great Britain is obviously on the weaker end, and they're looking toward aviation and cyber warfare as being their contribution. France is on the stronger end. Germany is pathetic. They don't even have helmets for their paratroopers right now. Spain with only 70,000 troops. Netherlands is absolutely tiny, and I don't think they even have tanks. No BS. They have machine guns strapped to their bicycles, which is absolutely hilarious to me. Department of State, here we go. Could we take them on our own? Well, Russia is pretty much a spent force now, but it's been our military doctrine for the past 60 years to be able to fight in two theaters, separate theaters, two fronts, and win. Now, just because it's our doctrine doesn't mean it's our reality, obviously. But hey, Wentus. But what I can tell you is militarily, we are far more sophisticated than Russia. Russia right now is throwing out World War I artillery, tube artillery, to try to fight in Ukraine. They're using T-34s, literally tank from 1934, on their front lines. They're also using, T-54s, T-62s, T-72s, T-80s, T-90Ms, but the T-90Ms are a dying breed. They're using BMP-1s, which came out in the 60s. BMP and BPM, maybe? So one's tracked, one's wheeled. Both those came out in the 60s. The BMP-3 is a newer design, but it's pretty much become extinct. When it comes to China, while China does have anti-ship cruise missiles and ballistic missiles, and a metric ton of them, it's actually one of their main branches. So we have the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Space Force. I should break my own thumb for putting up Space Force on my thumb, but I have to accept them. I don't want to accept them. Anyway, China has the People's Liberation Army, People Liberation Army Navy, People Liberation Army Air Force, and People Liberation Army Missile Force. They have an entire branch of their military dedicated to missiles. And our best wargaming simulations show that we would lose 2 carriers within the first week of combat. But after a long, hard campaign of a year and a half, with our current setups, we would still come out on top because we just blockade their ports and stop all their shipping from, Djibouti, which peak city name, best city name in the world. Anyway, there's a port city there, and it's actually very important because it runs right across from where the Houthis are, and that is a major international shipping port, and that is where China gets most of its raw resources. It doesn't actually dig up a lot of its own stuff that it needs, including fuel. Oil actually is their greatest import. I think they only produce something like 16.3% of their own national oil. Everything else comes from shipping and from Russia, and the pipelines going into Russia could easily be taken out with cruise missiles. So yeah, we could win. Oh, Gladys, you'd be surprised. There's so many mutual defense pacts out there. It basically is a complete setup for World War I all over again. It's just everyone knows how bloody that gets, so everyone backs off at the last minute. Rubles. What are we looking at here? Oh, Russia. Okay. They were spending roughly $1.7 billion. But if we were to fight China, we also have Japan, the Philippines, Australia. God, there's a few other small islands out there. Taiwan, obviously. And they would, we do have a defense pact with them. It's kind of like a Pacific NATO, except they actually spend the money they're supposed to spend. Yeah, I think I put in the wrong thing here. Oh, well. Oh, common budget shares. Nope. Defense expenditure. Oh, here. We can just do the 2014 through 2019. And this is the biggest reason why I agree with pulling out of NATO. Because for these years, majority of the countries were so far upside down on their own defense spending. I mean, you still have countries using the FNFAL or Fabrique Nationale, something out another. It is a very old gun. Hell, you still have you still got some countries using tanks from the 60s that haven't been upgraded as compared to ours. So yeah, I think we could take them. And honestly, this is the sort of deal that I want to start doing in the new year. Maybe come on Wednesdays and analyze things like this. Can I make this bigger? This is... Ooh, there we go. Millions in national currency units. Some of these are some pretty small and pathetic numbers. Oh, granted, it's in millions, but... And then you take a look at our colossal budget here. People that we all love and care for would be far better off if we weren't having to spend this much. And you know what? Pulling out of NATO, we wouldn't have to spend this much because, say, Russia decides to get froggy and shoots an accidental rocket off and it hits Germany. Article 5 gets gets called, and we get called in. You have to. You literally have to. Article 5 means someone gets shot at, everyone responds. You take that off the line, now we aren't having to spend to defend a completely different continent, and it's just defend ourselves. Maybe Canada, maybe Mexico. We do need to protect those. But Slovakia? How about Greece? Hungary? Italy? Countries that literally have nothing to do with us. I think we should be paying more for home. And yes, I know we have no national oil reserves right now. Thankfully, that's going to change. Oh God, I hate the big screen. All right, Shardy, let's take a look at this here. My concern is, what if those smaller countries may not have the population and the financial resources to contribute financially like they can? So what could they do then? Well, when you're talking about the Pacific, you're talking about island hopping, which makes life a lot easier. You go into a mindset of area denial or anti-area denial access, or anti-access area denial. Anti-access area denial, which means you just prevent navies or air power for moving through. You don't have to worry about a tank coming out of the blessed ocean to come up on you. It becomes a lot easier. When we're talking about, say, Eastern Europe, either they learn to sink or swim. We have supported them and held them aloft since 1945. And then we made it official in 1950, or no, 1949, with the formation of NATO. And we have exploded up to 30-something countries. And yet, no one looks at any of those countries except for Poland as a threat. No one looks at any of those countries except for Poland as anything that can defend itself. So, Germany has some of the best military hardware in the world, but they don't use it for themselves. They sell it. The 120 millimeter cannon on our M1A1, M1A2, SEP-3 Abrams is either a licensed copy or just a direct buy from Rheinmetall, which is a German company, great company. France has this weird aversion to tracks, Caterpillar tracks. No idea why. Most of their armored vehicles are light armored vehicles and can't stand up into a tank fight or anything that has a greater than 50 cal machine gun, which when you take a look at current armored warfare, you've got main guns, you've got 103 millimeter smoothbore cannons, you've got 20 millimeter Bushmasters or larger. So a lot of those smaller countries, like the entire Balkans that are in NATO, you know what their entire job is? To be a speed bump. We expect them to fall and then take the land back after. That just sounds like a waste of lives to me. And if you want to talk more about this, I'll go ahead and I'll slap together a video and we will explain the arsenals, or actually we can put together a few videos and we can explain the arsenals of each one of the NATO countries. But at this point, I don't think NATO's needed anymore at all, because we've seen Russia get bogged down against a much smaller country and waste all of its materiel and most of its manpower. And it won't be a threat on the global stage or even a regional stage for the next 20 years. If they decided to play fuck around and find out with, say, Poland, well, I'm pretty sure Moscow would be flying a new flag very soon. But the years of looking at a defense industry from strictly how many men you can field, how many guns you have, how many tanks you have, is almost to the point of foolishness now. You've got cyber, you've got information warfare. There's so many types of war. Hell, even trade is a war. That if you aren't defending against all of those, you're open. And if you're putting all your money and all your eggs in one basket, you're kind of screwed. So, on that note, guys, I've been on for an hour and 14 minutes. I went a few minutes over because I lost internet. Thank you for hanging around. I am taking a vacation now, so expect to see me after the new year. And because Shardy brought this up, and I really do enjoy talking about this. Possibly Shardy. You still have a lot of Soviet-minded comrades over on yonder. But this is something I really do enjoy talking about. I love talking defense technology and economics. So I'm going to start putting together some videos going through each of these countries. I wish you guys all a Merry Christmas, or, happy season. If you don't happen to celebrate Christmas, if you aren't Christian. I don't think we got anything else going on tonight. I don't know if we got anything going on this weekend. However, and I don't know Mickey and Wentus's schedule for Christmas week. So stay tuned for an update from one of those two. I'll be in chat doing my thing, talking about slapping pastors across the bald spot on their head. But I love you all very much. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know this one was a bit slow, but it is what it is. And I will catch you guys in the new year. Later.